Good morning. I'm late. Welcome to Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osborne. Oh, I have an echo. Why? All right. This program is for information purposes only. If you need legal advice, you can contact me, Antoinette Osborne, at 718-502-9137. That's 718-502-9137. This thing is kind of tilted. The office focuses on divorce, immigration, bankruptcy, real estate, and estate matters. We also do eviction proceedings. There is a second office in Jamaica, West Indies, that focuses on legal representation if you are seeking to buy or sell property in Jamaica, or if you are looking to wrap up an estate. If you have a question this morning, you can call in at 718-502-9137. That's the same number to call during the week if you wish to make an appointment. For this week, the appointments are going to be virtual as I am in Jamaica. All right, so I wanted to discuss unlawful presence this morning. And if you're just tuning in, let me know where you're listening from, which town you are actually listening from. Now, all right, so Nicola is here this morning and she is acting as the moderator. Good morning, Amarildo. All right, so this morning I wanted to talk about unlawful presence. And this is something that affects immigrants, and I'm particularly focusing this morning on there are three different bars. I'm going to focus on the 3 year bar, the 10-year bar, and what is often referred to as the permanent bar. So, anyone who has ever entered on a visa, once you enter and you're at the airport, first of all, you're not even allowed to enter unless you pass CBP screening. Let's get real. So, you are at the airport, there is a screening process by CBP because they have to determine whether or not your entry is in fact in alignment with your visa. And this is why you will see that some people, even though they're entering on the B1, B2, which is a tourist visa, when they are at the airport, sometimes their visa gets cancelled. The reason for this is the officer who is permitting entry, some of the times they do not suspect that you are coming for a visit of purpose. And this is why what you'll see is where if your phone is checked and it is determined that you are coming to get employment, this is where you will find that the officer takes you into secondary and they will call sometimes the people who you have been texting in the phone, and they will, after having interviewed you, cancel your visa and return you on the next flight. So, coming into the country, often your phone can be subject to scrutiny. So, this is why anyone who is coming in, you just have to be very careful as to what it is that you have posted and your text messages. If it is that your text messages in fact reveal that you're coming for a job, they will cancel your visa and they will send you back. And I'll tell you this, one of the hardest things is to get back that visa where it is you were suspected of coming to seek employment, or you're coming for a job and you are actually possessing just a visitor's visa. So these are the things that they look to see whether what is your purpose in coming, right? All right. So what's happening now is we want to focus on unlawful presence. So for the people who were able to come in and it was determined that they are coming for a visitor's purpose, they were allowed into the country. What you'll find with these people is if they overstay, and not everyone gets 6 months. And this is why it's so important that once you are allowed into the country, you go to, and I'll tell anyone who has someone who has entered, Google these two words, CBP and I-94. This allows you, because the I-94, you're no longer getting that physical white card. So you go online and you can actually print out your authorized stay. Now, one of the difficulty is this. Once your authorized stay is over and you overstay that period, you're now in an authorized status, meaning that unfortunately you are now accruing unlawful presence. So there are three bars which is involved in this unlawful presence stay. All right, so if someone is here, and for those of you who were not inspected by CBP, where you jump the fence, day one as you enter the country, you have accrued unlawful presence. For those of you who came in on a visa and your stay is the authorized stay is finished, you start accruing unlawful presence from, unfortunately, the day the visa expires. If you jump the border, come over, then from the day one you step into the country, you have an accrued unlawful presence. Now, this unlawful presence is extremely important if you're looking to change your status to another visa type. If you're out of status, it's highly unlikely you are going to change status. If you're looking to get into another visa category, you should make this application before your existing visa expires. Very important. The only people who are not really subject to this restriction is if you're seeking an adjustment of status and you are the spouse, child, or parent of a US citizen, then you could be out of status. I have adjusted people who are out of status for 20 years, and people are in the United States without lawful status for years. Some people are able to have children in the United States, and when that child is 21, it is that same child who is filing for them. However, it is not a guarantee that when your child files for you that you're going to get the green card, because if you are inadmissible, then it's not going to work out for you. So, for example, what do I mean by that? If it is your child who is filing for you, you have a prior filing and there was misrepresentation in your history, your child is not a qualifying relative for that waiver. And this is why you'll find parents, even though they have US citizen children, who are able to file for the green card, because that same child is not eligible to file for a misrepresentation waiver, they are stuck. So, and this is why I caution anyone, if it is that you have the ability in the future to adjust or get the green card, be very careful of these people who file these frivolous applications on your behalf, and then later you are not able to get the green card. So important. So let's look at for people who are out of status for more than 180 days, but less than a year. Unfortunately, if you depart, you are going to be barred for 3 years. So that's our first bar, which is the 3-year bar, right? And this bar only comes into effect if you leave. So you could be out of status for 20 years. If you don't leave, you don't trigger the bar. So for the first bar, we're looking at the 3-year bar. If it is that you're out of status for more than 180 days, what occurs, but you're less than a year and you leave the country, and let's say that you book a flight to come back, you're not going to be allowed in because you are subject to a 3-year bar. And the length of time basically determines how long your bar is. So the next bar is the second bar, which is if you are out of status for more than a year, right? So let's take a look at this, because some people, they overstay for an inordinate time. And one of the dangers is when they overstay, they leave and think that they can return like that. It doesn't work like that. So if it is that you have been out of status for more than a year and you leave the country, then you are going to be subject to a 10-year bar. And I have seen children who are filing for their parents, and their parents are here for years, they're frustrated, they want to go home, and during the process of being filed for, they leave, which makes absolutely no sense. So here it is that they leave, and now they're subject to a 10-year bar. And this is why you have to speak to your relatives. It is so important that when they're here, they're out of status. You have to warn them of the dangers of leaving where they have accrued unlawful presence. So, just tuning in, you're listening to Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osborne. If you have a question this morning, you can call in at 718 502 9137. That's 718 502 9137. To make an appointment during the week, it is the same number, that is 718 502 9137. So I want to encourage everyone this morning. Your relatives are here, they have accrued unlawful presence. Warn them of the danger if they decide that, having been here for a while, they're out of status. They are frustrated because they are not eligible for a work permit, that they decide to leave. You have to caution them. They have to know they are going to be subject to a bar. And this is dependent on the length of time they're out of status. If it runs anywhere between 6 months, that's 180 days, but less than a year, and they depart, they're subject to a 3-year bar. If it is that they are in the United States and they're out of status for more than a year, they become frustrated and they leave, they're going to be subject to a 10-year bar. And what is sad is people who become frustrated and they leave, and then they are subject to the bar. All of a sudden, when they go back home to their home country, they want to come back. It makes absolutely no sense. Yeah. So you have to strategize in what you're doing. But one of the most dangerous bars that exists is what is referred to as the 20-year bar. And I can't encourage people enough. This is not a bar you want to be subject to. And I have had clients in my office where they this bar occurs where you're here, you have been out of status for more than a year, and it's not just one single period of being out of status. If you have been in and out and you spend 2 months and you're out of status, you go back to your home country or wherever you go to, and then you come back for 3 months, because they look at the aggregate. If it is that they are able to add all this time that you're here to add up to a year, right? You leave, and then when you're coming back in, you get caught. You're going to be subject to what is called a permanent bar, which is a 20-year bar. And this is so important, where what you'll find now with a lot of these border crossers, a lot of them were here previously and they left, and where it is they're now looking to re-enter, and it is determined that when they were here previously, they were out of status for a year and they're looking to re enter. And it is that either they were able to come in and they're caught, or they attempted to come in and they were caught. You're immediately subject to a 20-year bar. And what you're going to find with some of these border crossers is that it has been determined that they were here before for a year, they accrued unlawful presence, and they're coming back in. They are subject to a 20-year bar. And one of the dangers of this re-entry is that it is a crime. It is something that you can go to jail for. So just tuning in, you are listening to Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osborne. If you have a question, you can put it in the live. You can actually text your question this morning, or you can call in at 718-502-9137. That's 718-502-9137. Now, one of the most dangerous things with the 20-year bar is that there's no waiver for that. And for people who have re entered, having accumulated 1 year of unlawful presence, what happens is when they re enter, sometimes they meet people, they want to get married, and you have to let their spouse know that unfortunately, because they're subject to the 20-year bar, they're not going to be able to adjust their status. If they leave, they are not going to be able to get a visa. And one of the problems with the 3-year and the 10-year bar as well is that if you have left and you're subject to this bar, you could go up to the embassy and apply for a visa. You're not going to get it. You are also ineligible for a green card. But the good thing with the 3 and the 10-year bar is you can apply for a waiver. For the 20-year bar, there is no waiver. You must spend 10 years out of the country before you can apply for a waiver. And how this has affected people who are in the United States, where they're subject to the 20-year bar, they're stuck. And no lawyer who practices immigration is going to put in an application for you to get a green card where you're subject to the 20-year bar. The reason being is if you are in the United States and you're subject to the 20-year bar, you're stuck, because one of the requirements is that you must spend 10 years outside of the country. And people who have accrued 1 year or more unlawful presence and then they re-entered, they're subject to the 20-year bar. They go ahead, they get married and think that their spouse can file for a green card for them. Absolutely not. It is not going to work. And it's disheartening where, especially with couples, they want to move on. However, the other person is not able to get status. It puts them in a quandary, because one of the hardest things is where you are in the house alone, you're working, and your spouse's income is limited because they do not have papers. So that income earning potential is restricted, right? Good morning, Tracy, my darling. Yeah, so it's tough. It is really tough. And especially in places like New York, California, Texas, Florida, you have a lot of blended households because there are immigrant intensified numbers, and you'll have blended households in that you have one spouse being legal, the other spouse being illegal, and it's rough, you know especially where you need paperwork in order to acquire certain things. But one of the good things with the 3-year and the 10-year bar for people who are eligible for a waiver, if they are here and let's say that they didn't have a proof of entry. The good thing about the Obama administration is that it provided a provisional waiver, right? So even though you may have that relative who did not enter, because in order to adjust your status, you have to show that you were inspected or parole. So basically, you spoke to an immigration attorney, right? I'm sorry, a CBP officer, an immigration officer. So you have proof of your entry. For those people, even though they're out of status for years, they can always adjust. The difficulty is for the people who are in the United States, have accrued unlawful presence, and now it is that they are married to someone, and the difficulty is that, or they have a child who is filing for them, they don't have any proof of entry. And one of the difficulty is because of this, they can't adjust status. So they're going to need a provisional waiver, which the Obama administration brought in to assist people who had no proof of their entry, right? Whether or not you crossed the border, whether or not you came on someone else's passport, as long as it's not a US passport after September 30th, 1996. Let's get real. You make any false claim to US citizenship after September 30th, 1996, you will never get a green card. So don't let anybody fool you and you go and you start using a US birth certificate. You go and you apply. So you have people who are brave enough to apply for US passports knowing that they are not eligible. But what this does, even if you are not prosecuted and it is a crime, right? So even though you are not prosecuted, what happens is it permanently blocks you for a green card. Why engage in a crime that's going to permanently block you? I've had clients who had applied for a passport, and when they had gone into the interview, my client came to me after to see if there were any options available. So he told me what happened in the interview, and this is what happened. He went to the interview, his wife was a US citizen. And what had happened was he had gotten a link. How you know it go? You're going to get a link to go onto certain things. So he had gotten a link to go and get a passport. Anyway, so he did the application for a US passport. They caught him, and I believe he assisted in the prosecution of the person who was giving out the passports. But unfortunately, what this did was to create a record. And this record is he falsely claimed to be a US citizen. So come time now, wife, US citizen wife filing for him. And he is in the interview, and the officer now says, have you ever claimed to be a US citizen? So, by this time his mouth is closed. So he turns the screen to the wife, points to the picture of our husband, and he asks her to identify who is this man on the screen, and it's the husband. So here it is: false application, false claim to US citizenship, case denied. And you have to be careful. Good morning, Debbie. You have to be careful where, in fact, and who is in fact assisting you to do certain applications. You making a false claim to US citizenship, you're not getting a green card after September 30th, 1996. And I know times are rough. I know that especially after 9/11, in terms of employment verification, a lot of employers are participating in E-Verify. Morning, Melanie. But one of the dangers with E-Verify for an immigrant is that it immediately tells the employer whether or not you have legal authorization to work, because they have to check with immigration. And no employer wants to be involved in paying a severe fine. So what you'll find is A lot of employers are enrolling to participate in e-verify. So when the employer submits, so no longer is the employer just relying on that I-9, and anyone who is not a US citizen should not be checking on that I-9 that they are a US citizen, right? So just be very careful. It is such a danger where someone who, but for this claim, was able to get a green card, but you can't because this claim was falsely made. And I want to encourage you in applications, whether you are doing loan applications, when you are signing up for your driver's license, read that application for a driver's license clearly. There is a section, and I really think they should remove it from the driver's license application, which causes you to register to vote. Because if you're not a US citizen, by registering to vote, you're falsely claiming to be a US citizen. So immigrants, when you are filling out documents, I want you to read these documents, because one of the things is where you absent-mindedly sign off on something which comes to harm you years on. It makes absolutely no sense. So just tuning in, you are listening to Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osborne. This morning we are focusing on unlawful presence. How does it affect you? If you entered right, and when I say entered right, you were either inspected or paroled in. So you have an I-94, which shows that you have proof of entry. For those people, they could have accrued unlawful presence for years. As long as they have not left the country, they have their spouse to adjust for them. As long as they are a US citizen, that spouse can file for them for that green card. If it is that they have a child who is over 21 years old, that child can file for them for the green card. Or if it is that you want to file for a parent, yeah, you can file for a parent who has been out of status for years. It does not matter. And I am just going to encourage anyone who has accrued unlawful presence, you have to be very wary that if in fact you leave and you've accrued unlawful presence, dependent on the time, you could be subject to the 3-year bar, you could be subject to a 10-year bar, or you could be subject to a permanent bar. So you have to warn your relatives who are so desirous of going to their home country, yet they are still out of status. And some people think if they leave and come back in, they will never find out. You create records when you are here, and people may not understand the records they create and how it is that it is determined that they were aware that you were here. You go to the doctor, that creates a record. You have children in the United States, that creates a record. You probably applied for certain benefits, that creates a record. You probably participated in the census program, that creates a record. Someone probably put in an application for you and have your address as being in the United States. You also sign off on this. This creates a record. And this is why you just have to be careful where you're going to lie and say that you were not here. And there is black and white documentation that proves that you were in the United States. Very important. People think that they can do things and they are going to get away with it. It does not work. Some people believe that if they are arrested in a different state, it will not come up in their application. Immigration doesn't do a statewide check, they do a FBI check. So they're pulling from all the states. And you have to be aware your criminal history follows you. People think that if the crime was committed 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, then they don't have to mention it. They think that because they were probably fingerprinted but did not see a judge, they don't have to mention it. Once you are printed, you are in the system. And I can't encourage people with criminal history, reveal it. There's no need, especially where the criminal history is of no consequence. Some criminal records are like traffic offenses. So it's not going to harm you in your application, such as, for example, disorderly conduct. Disorderly conduct is treated like a traffic violation. So when you're applying for your green card, but you have to be careful what you say as to what led to this conviction or this charge. Because even though you may not have been convicted, if it is that, God forbid, because some people might just step on spring, they don't know when to shut up, they don't know what to say, and you go into the interview, and some people have a nice disposition where it says not guilty, but you go into that interview and you plead guilty to the elements of the crime just by your story. For them, that's a conviction. And you have to be very careful. And this is why it's so important. Anyone with a criminal record, I am going to encourage you, make sure you know what it is. You have to prepare for this interview. Make sure you know what it is that you are going to tell them occurred, why it is that you have been arrested, right? Morning, Suzette. If it is at any point you have been arrested and you are applying for a green card, make sure you have your story right. Because one of the hardest things is for you to get denied because of foolishness. I'll tell you this, one of the best clients in terms of presenting herself in an interview, because trust me when I say the questions were such that if you weren't prepared, if you did not know your own story well, and the officer came at her different angles, asking the same question, different, you couldn't wrap up this woman. To this date, my client from Haiti, the best client I have ever had. She knew her life, she knew her, you couldn't wrap this woman up. Me not care, oh, you couldn't wrap her up. She was an immaculate witness, you know? The most dangerous person in an interview, whether it is just like court or whether it is in immigration, is someone who like to chat. And you chat so much so till you chat shit. You are the most dangerous person in an interview. People don't understand when it comes to law enforcement and you must answer only what has been asked. That's one. Two, answer your question so that it is closed ended. When you answer and it is open, where it's going to lead to a next question, you're not answering properly. Let's get real. If it is that you can't just answer and then your answer is such that it is not going to lead the person who is interrogating you, so that you have now opened a door so they can ask you several other questions. Yeah? You're not very smart in that interview. And for people who you just like to chat, I've had clients where in the pre-screening, I call it a pre-screening or preparing you for the interview. And I see like you like to chat, but you're chatting so that you're going to wrap up yourself. For clients like that, you have to guide them. You've answered the question. Where are you? It's like you expect them to go halfway tree, yet still they're in Montego Bay. Why? You have to realize when you're being interrogated and it is such where your answer can cause you to get denied if you don't answer properly. You have to know when to shut up. You have to know you have been asked a certain question, just answer the question. Nobody needs to hear your life story when you have been asked a simple question. And some officers are gracious enough when they realize that you just like to chat and you're chatting shit, that they will just end the question. But other officers will not be so nice. And where it is that they realize that no, there's something more here. Yeah? What do you think is going to happen? And for people who have been waiting for years, and what is sad is oftentimes it is the petitioner who has more sense than the immigrant. Yeah? And sometimes the petitioner will even turn and say, and you can't turn and say anything when you're in the interview. I'm talking about the prep stage. If you go into an interview, some officers will terminate the interview where they're specifically asking one spouse, but the other spouse keeps chipping in. They'll terminate the interview. So, in that interview, you cannot be answering for your spouse. Just tuning in, you're listening to Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osborne. If you have a question, you can post it in the live. You can also call 718-502-9137. That's 718-502-9137. All right. So good morning, Pauline from Brooklyn. One of the most dangerous people, and this is also for the friends that you keep. You ever have a friend and you tell them, I gotta tell you something, but me no want hear it back, and me no want hear say me say, right? All right. Now, Suzette is asking, what time are your shows going forward? 8 or 9? It is 9 o'clock. Did the time change I'm in Jamaica, so my understanding is New York is 1 hour ahead. Hold on. So let's see. What time is it in New York now? Isn't it not? Oh dear. It is, I did not know the time in New York changed. I am so sorry. Pauline, if you never did say something, I would not have known. I actually scheduled this thinking it was 9 o'clock. Melanie, good girl, thank you. Me never know the time change. So that means this morning some people are gonna miss it. Me never know the time change, goody. No, sir, right now, me swear it is 9 o'clock in New York. All right. So my apologies for the people who thought that we are going to be at 9. I really, truly thought it never even dawned on me to check the time. All right. So the 9 o'clock people, well, at least the good thing is now, this is not like the radio where them would have missed the program. And yeah, man, some people call and cuss, man. Like I had a listener, he overslept, and when he turned on the radio, the program already gone. The man cussed, the man cussed, the man Oh my God. So some people are going to be very, very annoyed this morning. I really truly believed it was 9 o'clock in New York. But the good thing is YouTube is such that them can replay it. Them not go live, but at least they will be able to replay it. So this is a good thing with YouTube as opposed to when the time change, Melanie? When the time change, Pauline? Yesterday? Let me see. Yeah, good. So that's a good thing for YouTube notification. Good girl, me never know. Yeah, some people are gonna cross this morning, but the good thing, like we say, is this morning it change. Kiss me tea. That mean me could have sleep an extra hour. I saw it go. I saw it go sometime. I really didn't know. All right, so we could get back to the program now. What your friends are people who unfortunately for people who don't have papers, I'm going to encourage you. Be very careful of the friends you keep. A lot of your friends, especially if you are doing better than them, are not going to be happy for you. It is some of your own friends who are going to call in and they are going to report you. Let's get real. Yeah? Some of you don't keep good friends. I am not going to make it any plainer than that. And one of the hardest things is where you are struggling to survive. And I'll tell you what happened. My mother was working at a place, right? My mother did the HHA, then she did the CNA. Anyway, she was working with a gentleman. And me no know who the man is the other people. Me no know who tell this man to fire this Jezebel girl. Cause the way all the girl are gone on the job. Yeah? So till all them up on the building, but all of the other ear them couldn't stand her. Anyway, the way she carry on nastiness, she'll carry it to the family. Now, young people, one of the most dangerous things in life is to bite the hand that feeds you. So even with our patient, she'll go on. Anyway, them decide, say, the patient, because usually the patient children who really control the aid that stays there. And this a girl lose her mind and get nasty. Not only was she nasty with the patient, she was nasty with the patient. I think it was the daughter. Somebody. Eh? Kiss me teeth. Yes, I got start now. So, one little call, hi, this is Mary Jo, and I'm calling. I would like to have my aid replaced. Yeah, man. So good to get fired. Rasta judge. But one of the dangerous things is, and especially as island people, right? You depend on the building, you work on island people with other island people. So you share your story, right? So good girl know who I work on the building, who have papers, and who not have papers. I mean, I tell you no, shutting them out. All right. So she don't know how it a run, how the agency a run. So good to say, oh, fire me. Who him think him is, him a fire me. She make one call. Yeah, but there's nothing sure in life but debt, bond, and taxes. I tell you how people dangerous now. So Goody decides that she gonna call in and she gonna make a report. So The place get read now. Everybody document get take up now. And this is where it was so disheartening. You had one lady, she get the job and she just take out an apartment. Another lady just borrow money. Can you have your job? So you don't plan your life. She have her picnic them a go to school, so she borrow money. Cause she know say in a few weeks she gonna get her money so she can pay back the loan. And she send down, she borrow money so she could have pay school fee, buy uniform, buy shoes. May I show you how one person can affect people life? Yeah? And it's serious like that. You're here, you're in the United States, mind your business. That place can run normal. And I don't think people understand how it's not the islands. Yeah? And I know from in my, and this is why where you've helped people, your blessing is not going to come from that person, right? And where you do good for people, don't think that person is going to extend a hand to you. I have experienced this in my own life where me extend myself. You can't, once me have life and me have the ability, and you are my friend, yeah, man, I will extend myself to you. Make you make a call now, say you need little help. Make the call and make me say, morning Sunday. Make the call and beg little favor. Eh? You're going to see how much crosses friend you have in your life. Drunk, yeah. But why you make the call and see? Everybody busy. Nobody can help. One of the saddest things is where someone you've helped and they've turned their back against you. And then a year, 2, 3 years later, they're coming back for more help. Me tell you, say me a Jesus Christ. Me tell you, say me turn the other cheek. No, girl, we don't forget. Yeah, man. Mm-mm. The people you bless don't think they're going to bless you back. Once you understand this concept, you're going to see how far you're going in life. And the fact that you have blessed someone and they've turned against you, don't let it stop you from blessing somebody else. I just, me personally, me not bless back that same person. Yeah, I guess me across is like that. Me don't care, me care zero. All right, so just tuning in, you're listening to Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osborne. You have a question this morning, you can put it in the live, you can text it, you can call in at 718-502-9137. Okay. For your pretentious friends, for your friends who wish you no good. And what I find is people will come to the States and engage in activities where in their own home country, they're not going to engage. So for people who have accrued unlawful presence, you're out of status, you never enter right now, God bless you, find a nice, good, clean man, because everybody knows a man shortage is around. Yeah? And I worry for the younger generation because there are hardly any men left, right? And it's like literal tears for them. It's such a struggle. And what I find is the older some people get, this is when they are finding their true sexual orientation. And I fear for this younger generation that they will have absolutely nobody to marry. And it is disheartening. But let's say God bless you now and you find a nice, good, clean man. Yeah? And now it is you have the ability to get the green card, but you never enter right. Yeah, you jump the fence, you know how it go. So now you need a provisional waiver because you're here, let's say 10 years. And if you're supposed to go to the embassy for your interview, you're going to be barred for 10 years. Who want that? But when you just come, and I find this happens to people who they just come to the country, you know, really have your foot stable, and you link up with some people, them are thief, yeah? Them are engage in certain criminal activity, them are encourage you for go sell at a client, and his father filed for him, and he's coming here as a child, and the father used to live with one of his cousin. The father would not give him lunch money. And this is a child, the father tell him to go sell drugs. This is a child just coming from the islands. Yeah? Could even get lunch money, could even get bus here to go to school. And the cousin who was in the house saw the injustice, right? And it is so sad that the cousin was about to move out. And when he realized, came a picnic, when to get money from, the father tell him to go sell drugs. He's a little teenage boy. Just come out of the country, I try go school, try do better, trying to learn English, leave him nice, good, clean mother. Because the mother thinks that she's sending him to the father where things will be better. Yeah? And I'll never forget, it was so disheartening hearing his story because, and this is where you really get to appreciate your own parents and the struggles that they sacrificed for you to make your life better. So they realize now, say the cousin are gonna leave and leave him with this across his back. The man, he put on one piece of balling. So the cousin now decides, say, all right, cause she just have baby. Fear careless baby father nah help her, but she needed to go on her own. So she took him. Remember, she can barely support herself, you know, but this is the kindness of some people. She can barely support herself, plus she have baby. Yeah? But she have to leave because not even she can stand her uncle. So she decides she's going to take him, and she did take him. So come years later now, the child is looking to file for his citizenship. But Haiti is not like Jamaica, right? Our Legitimation Act prevents children of illegitimate fathers to automatically get that citizenship. Haiti is different because their legitimation statute, and this is after researching this, Haiti treats you as being legitimated even though your father did not marry the mother. Jamaica is different. You have to marry. So now he's filing for his citizenship. He goes into the interview. The father had him in his custody. So the man I tell him, say, him want proof concerning the father's custody of him, the father sharing the same space as him, because basically his application, I'm really supposed to get a certificate of citizenship because he's an automatic citizen. Yeah, man. So him come to my office and he's like, this man is not going to help me. I said, what? Because I can't understand a parent being so wicked that you're not going to help your own child. So I said, give me the number. And I called his father. As the man pick up the phone, my spirit cross. So I know that this man is a wicked man. And the man said, oh, tell him to come to the house at X time. I'll be there. And I'll give him my citizenship paper so he can send it in. Man give me time. The man give me day when the picnic supposed to meet him, right? By the following week after the meetup date, the child comes back into my office. Well, young man now. And I said, did you get the documents? Him sit down. You ever see somebody trying, but you're defeated and you have to depend on this devil to assist you? The father was not at the house. I said, God, how am I going to help this picnic now? Because one of his main things is the father was disgusting, but he wanted to get the citizenship because he wanted to file for his mother, who has always been that parent who was there for him. So I have to sit down now and me craft out a long explanation showing his difficulty. It's just not going to happen. This is a man who carried him here, took him from his mother. There were many days he had no food. Yeah? The same clothes he was wearing in Haiti is the same clothes he had to be wearing here. The man wouldn't even buy him a winter coat. And anybody coming from the islands and the hot weather, right? Come here, I tell you, as me go outside and the sun reach with me, I sweat out my life. This is something, a different climate than when you are actually in New York and them freezing temperature. The man wouldn't even buy his own son a coat. Some people said, oh, one piece of explanation, and thank God the boy was able to get his citizenship. For parents where you claim you're given an opportunity, but your main aim is abuse, it breaks my heart. And you have children who come to the United States because the other parent is sending them for better, and you send them reach here. You have children who run, it just breaks my heart. Children are running away. Yeah. The home life. And I'm going to encourage you this morning, be vigilant. Be vigilant around in terms of who you're putting and exposing your children to. Especially where you have an adult who has like a real interest, too much of an interest in your children. Sometimes you bring people around your children. I remember I was watching, I think it was YouTube once, and this lady, she said anytime she bring a man over for her yard for sleep, yeah, she make sure she tell the picnic them lock them door. She sleeps to the edge of the bed. So if the man is coming off the bed, he have to come over. And she makes sure she is the person who sleeps closest to the door. Yeah. Cause some people them not ramp with them pick there, them not playing a little game with you. And I think as parents, the failure to protect your own child, it is an injustice. And one of the hardest things is where you are in that home with that child and you have a molester in your home. And it's just since I got older, I realized how my father was vigilant. We were not allowed to sleep out until we reach a certain age. So even though you're vexed, you have to stay home, now you understand the protective methods that your parents engaged in to protect you from harm from people. Morning, June. June, I signed on early this morning, darling. I'm in Jamaica and I didn't realize that the time change. So you're catching us to the tail end of the program. But I'm going to encourage you, parents, be very, very, very vigilant with your children. Don't let your children be sitting down in people's laps. Yeah? Don't do it. Don't let other people be taking your children to the bathroom. How they're going to help them use the toilet. That was your job. Nobody enough to oversee them in the bathroom. Yeah? You have to know how to protect on the picnic them. Because I think we are in such dangerous times. And I don't think anyone understands how serious these times are. Certain lifestyle has been ordained as right now. But I think the fear that I have going forward is the system of pedophilia. The day they make that legal, everything done. Because your children will no longer be safe. And I'll tell you this, just the other day, I went to landlord and tenant court in Brooklyn. And me are going to one bathroom and something said, look up, because I never see the sign good. And when I really look upon the sign, I realize it's a gender neutral. Me say me fly out so fast. And let me tell you, parents, if any day you are sending your children into these type of bathroom, you better be with them. I don't care if it's a little boy or if it is a little girl, you better be with your child. Because I don't think people understand how serious things are getting. Yeah? All right. So someone says, what's the phone number to the Jamaican office? Okay, so the same 718 number, the 718-502-9137 rings to the office in Jamaica. If they want a Jamaican number, it is 876-667-7194. All right. So Matt says, good morning. Watching from the Bronx. I guess I'll watch the replay. Match. Good girl, I'm sorry. I did not know that the time changed. Yeah. Is Melanie and Suzette advised me. I so did not know. All right. So we are at the end of the program. My apologies again. I so did not know the time change. We get up from the crack of dawn this morning. And if I did know, I could have sleep an extra hour. Yeah, cause go to like our sleep. Yeah. To make an appointment during the week, telephone number is 718-502-9137. For all intents and purposes, The show starts at 9 o'clock, but this morning there was a mishap. We never know the time change. But I want to wish you a blessed Sunday. Live good with your family and stay safe. We will be back at 9 o'clock next week, Sunday, right? So we'll be on the proper time. All right. So I want you to enjoy the rest of your day. Yeah. Live good, stay blessed, and spend some time with your family. Yeah. Take them out for ice cream. How you get up this morning beside your husband and him from last night, you begs. Good girl, get up. And sometimes we have to confuse the man them, Because I don't think we don't know if we play this, You go to your bed last night and you're cross. Get up this morning. Yeah. Because you must make them figure out, woman, ladies, good girls. You can't make them figure out too much, When you go on a bed, begs last night, you get up this morning. Good morning, honey. Him a dead. I want to know why you plan for him. No, man. Sometimes when you can't have, like, too much cash in your life. Who want someone? No, you send the man to him side, girl. When you get up and you act very nice. Yeah, man, you hear the pot. Probably I wonder if you got pies name backside. But now, no, get up and act nice and loving. That sometimes the man, them don't want the cash goodie. And I would hope none of you no man them in the cascas. Let me tell you, I grew up on a street with men. Me no used to man a trees. No, sir, a certain type of life that no good girl when I play that. So get up this morning, be very make him little tea. If him diabetic, him piss you off, watch his sugar. Don't put too much sugar in there. Alright? Enjoy the rest of your day. Make me come off for the people them live. So una can enjoy on a Sunday. All right, take care. Bye.